Some schools will happily talk to you. Schools, independent specialists usually, particularly groups like the Witherslacks group, Aurora, those groups actually have national helplines, and
Mhm.
they will, they're businesses. They're very approachable and they will talk to you. Um, some schools, particularly maintained schools, it's an absolute blanket no. They will not speak to you until you have a formal consult come through from the local authority. So that means you've got to name them for parental preference first
Mm.
before. So what I would do is do a bit of detective work. A school website, number one, they will have admissions processes on their school website. They'll have the curriculum on their school website. So you can have a look and find out how suitable it is for your child. Ofsted reports. I'm not a great believer in Ofsted reports, but they do give you a huge amount of information about a school.
Yeah,
So they will talk about the type of children there, the type of curriculum on offer. You can
yeah,
find out quite a lot. Local Facebook groups
they're really good.
of local parents. Yeah, ours is no good for this. We might have 17,500 members, but what's the school down my road like? Needle in a haystack.
Yeah,
It's
and
local
sometimes
ones.
it's the local ones that aren't even anything to do with SEND, but just like your
Yeah.
local town one,
Yeah,
because
your local town one.
they'll
Yeah.
have people being really honest, because they'll say, well, I think my child's got dyslexia and I've tried to get them to do an assessment and they point blank refuse. And you think, well, okay, so that's a child that you're not even going to assess. Others will say, oh, I had my child in there and it was an absolute nightmare. I had to pull them out. Or you'll get the reverse of that is, I think my child would really struggle in another school, but they're getting a lot of support in this particular one. And so
Yeah.
that can be really interesting. Another thing to do is to ask the school for their SEND report, because
Yes.
that has a
It
huge
should be on their website. It should
yeah.
be. But in terms of what you do if you've made a mistake,
Mm.
because you just didn't have the information, and obviously once it's named, you get to look around it, you're like, this isn't going to work. I suppose there's two things to that. One is it's about making section F right. If sections B and section F are right, that school has to look at sections B and section F, and they can only offer a place if they can provide all the provision in F.
Mm.
So make sure B and F are tight enough and accurate enough is helpful. But the second thing is, if all else fails and a school is named you're not happy with, because once you put it down as a parental preference, it jumps up massively in terms of the school being able to decline a place. It's much more likely that
Yeah.
it's going to be offered. So you could end up making a parental preference that you then regret. You can appeal it. Just because it's a parental preference and you've been given it doesn't mean you can't appeal it. You can buy yourself 3 months from the date of the final plan to appeal it. So yes, you can still appeal. Appeals are taking a year, but if it's a transition appeal, less time than that.
Mm.
And yes, you would be expected to send him to that school in the meantime, pending the outcome of appeal. If it's a transition, if he's had to leave because he's year 6. Okay, so you to have a transition appeal, they have to name the transition placement by the 15th of February. You get an appeal in pretty quick. This is the difficulty. You'd have to appeal within 3 months and he won't have started there then. So it's going to be tight and it's going to be difficult. And a transition appeal would be heard during the summer term. But your choices are, if you're not happy with the school named, appeal it, or give it a go, and gather your evidence.